Now what? That's the question. Now what? The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is integrity. Okay. Now integrity seems very old hat, but this is a new way of looking at integrity possibly. For this, I need 3 volunteers. I need 2 young men and 1 young lady. So please come up quickly because you're eating into my 18 minutes. And I'm going to get very, very angry if you eat into my 18 minutes. 1 young lady I've got there. I've got 1 young lady. Come. And I want 2 young guys. Come on. Everybody is young. Just as long as you're young in the mind, I've got 2 young guys out here. I need a hand mic as well. Please give them a big hand. Okay. Right. Lady in the center. Lady in the center, please. And 1 guy on the right hand side and the other guy on the left hand side. Okay. Now I'm going to talk to you about my 3 chickens theory, what I call the 3 chickens theory. The theory simply says that, hey, listen, guys, there's integrity which needs to get back into our marketing lives just as it needs to get back into our professional and personal lives altogether. So the first thing I want to ask you is it very difficult to imagine these 3 guys to be chickens? No? Not at all? Yeah, they look like it. Come a little closer to me because the mic doesn't go further. So just imagine these are hens. What does a hen do best? Lay eggs. Yeah. Is it very difficult to imagine that these 3 hens have laid an egg each? No? Yeah, of course they've laid an egg each. And an egg is an idiotic, simple, stupid, pari passu looking product. Okay? Let's look at it from the product side of it. Forgive me if I've insulted your humble egg, but the egg looks ordinary. So my chicken 1 is who I call the shy chicken. He looks very shy, doesn't he? Yeah. And my chicken 2 is what I call the honest chicken. And my chicken 3 is what I call the dishonest chicken. Okay? Just for the moment, only for the moment. Okay? Now imagine these 3 to be chickens and hens which have laid an egg. We are discussing the brand integrity model as we see today and what it should be tomorrow. Imagine this one has laid an egg, this one has laid an egg, this one has laid an egg. Now you have to do exactly what I say. The shy chicken has laid an egg. He lives in an uncompetitive market. Now just imagine that the chicken is not only a producer, he has produced an egg. In addition to that, he's a marketer. And in addition to that, to market the product, he needs to be an advertiser. And to be an advertiser, you need to be a brand person as well. So imagine this guy to be the shy chicken, and the shy chicken advertises, and guess what? You guys in the audience are the customers who are waiting out there. You're the target audience. Now, my chicken 1 looks at you, and he markets the egg to you in the following manner. 3 times, he says, I've laid an egg, I've laid an egg. 3 times whisper, I've laid an egg, I've laid an egg, I've laid an egg. Okay, he's getting very passionate about that. But the point is, let's avoid the passion. But the point is, this is a shy chicken. Now, this guy exists in our marketing lives all the time. This guy is a shy chicken. This guy works best when there's no competition in the market. When it's a pari passu product which no other guy is producing, this guy works best. This guy creates an egg, and he looks around, and he says, hey, there's no competition. Why must I talk about the product? And in fact, he goes right reverse gear, and you know what he does? He does, under-branding. And this is under-branding. This is undershout. The guy looks at the egg and says, the product quality of the egg is 100, but I will shout about it only 2% decibel. And when I shout 2% decibel about something with product quality 100, I'm doing undershout. There are benefits of this, and there are non-benefits. Benefits of this chicken model is simply to say that, hey, listen, only 3 of you out here have heard that he's laid an egg, and even you have strained your ears and tried to find out what's happened. The 3 of you come up to see the egg. When you come to see the egg, you come carrying an expectation of 2%, and you actually receive 100, and you're delighted, and you buy the egg and run away, all 3 of you. But that means you get positive strokes or plus 98 when you use the undershout model of branding. But the point is, it has a disadvantage as well. And most modern marketers across the world, whether it be in the US, in Europe, in India, wherever you're talking about, the first world, the second world, the third world, I don't know where the fourth world is, but even in the fourth world, what really happens is this kind of a model tends to have a disadvantage in the sense that it does not create enough awareness. And the purpose of all branding is to create awareness, which you convert into an interest in the product, a flaming desire to buy the product, and then, of course, the action of purchase. But this guy is not good on awareness. And this is a model which exists. This is called undershout. Stay with me. Let's go to the honest chicken. Now, the honest chicken is essentially a chicken which looks at the egg and says, quality of the egg is 100. Let me talk about the product quality in 100 decibel. So, 3 times she will say the same thing after me. I have laid an egg. I have laid an egg. I have laid an egg. 3 times.
I have laid an egg. I have laid an egg. I have laid an egg.
Really? Okay. Now she'll want to hit me for that. But the point is simply this. This is an honest chicken. Now this honest chicken, you know what this chicken says? This chicken says my product quality is X. I must talk about my product quality with X. But you know, this chicken has disadvantages as well. You know what her problem is? Her problem simply is that when she talks about the egg with 100, it's boring. All of you know the entire story in its entirety. It's so boring that only 4 of you from different parts of the audience come up to see the egg, and the 4 of you come bearing an expectation of 100. You come with expectation 100, you receive product delivery 100, you're bored, you receive 0 positive strokes, and simultaneously you receive 0 negative strokes. So what happens is, out of 4, only 1 buys and goes. So even this chicken is a bit flawed. My third chicken is what I call the tera kya hoga chicken, what will happen of you chicken, which is the dishonest chicken. The guy looks at the audience, he looks at the egg, and he says product quality is 100, let me shout 400 decibel. So he says, I have laid an egg, I have laid an egg, I have laid an egg. 3 times. If you don't shout so heavily, I will make you shout once again. I have laid an egg, I have laid an egg, and I have laid an egg. You know, the darn chicken has laid an egg, and he's shouting as if he's laid an asteroid. But the point is, but that's the point. There are marketeers in the market like this guy who love to do overshout. And the guy, this has a benefit, not only guys who are sitting at MICA campus, but everybody outside of MICA, including those guys who are sitting at the IIM Ahmedabad campus, I'm sure, all wake up and say, I want to go see the phenomena, which is this egg. So what it's great at is creating awareness, it's terrific at creating interest, and it's creating a flaming desire to go see the product. The guys queue up to see the phenomena, they come to see the egg, they come with an expectation of 400, and guess what? They receive a delivery of 100, which is negative strokes of minus 300, and guess what? They go smashing the egg out, saying this is a dishonest marketer. In all our lives, my dear friends, we have 3 types of people in the market. One of them is what I call the shy chicken, and the shy chicken is the one we've just met, who actually talks about, 2% decibel with a product story of 100. I have the honest chicken who talks 100 on 100, and I have the dishonest chicken which talks 400 on 100. Guess what? The problem in our marketing lives is we've had too many of these kind of characters. Okay? Advanced markets of the US, where I do extensive pieces of research, tell me that this kind of a chicken has destroyed those markets. It has destroyed brands. It has destroyed credibility. It has destroyed credibility in products, destroyed credibility in advertising, in branding, and even with brand marketing people. You go to a party and in the United States and you see somebody talking a bit too much, you say, oh, he must be a marketing guy. Okay, and that is the worry. Now, if you really look at it, my research across these markets, whether it be in Southeast Asia, UK, United States, or in India, tells me that there are 3 kinds of chickens, and guess what? There is a cyclical movement. Now, I want all 3 of you to hold hands. Will you please hold hands? Ringa ringa roses all round. Okay. Now, this is the shy chicken, which we are talking about. In the beginning, everybody is a shy chicken. When more competition happens, you become an honest chicken. You start advertising from 2% to 5% to 50 to 100, and from 100, you move on to do something like 400. From 400, guess what? My research tells me that you don't go to 420. Instead, you go from 400, you go back to undershout. In a market where everybody is shouting the loudest, the one person who's whispering the least is heard the most. Do you get that? In a market where everybody is shouting the most, the one person who's whispering the least is heard the most. And guess what, guys? We build brand models. Will you please stop holding hands? Yeah. Okay. In markets, we have built theories, basis this for companies to really look at aggressively going back to the good old ways. I call it back to the Vedas, back to the good old ways of doing it. Marketeers have overdone stuff, so much so that I think we have to revisit the honest chicken which we are talking about. And guess what? My studies across these markets reveals that only 6% of players in the market operate like the honest chicken. 61% operate like the honest chicken. Sorry. The dishonest, the undershout guy is 6%. The shout guy is 61%. And the overshout in today's market is this. And guess what? The recession, the cautionary recession which we are witnessing all across is going to force us from moving away from these overshout formats to undershout formats. The second one is patience. Okay? Patience, I think patience is dead. How many of you are impatient people in the audience? Put up your hands. Yeah? Okay. I'll give you a story of impatience. You know, I have a son who's a 15-year-old guy. The guy, this is a story I keep telling over the last 2 months. I've told it many times. This is a 15-year-old guy. He's very, very impatient. The guy has a school election. He lands at his school, participates in the election, comes back home. He's totally distraught in the evening. I happen to talk to him in the evening, and I ask him, what's wrong? I thought he lost the election. So the guy looks at me and he says, Appa, he calls me Appa. He says, I've not lost the election, but the results are not out. So I said, that's okay. When are the results coming out? So the guy looks at me and he says, results will come after 4 days. Now that's impatience. Huh? So he says, I too am getting impatient, but as an older guy, you know, in the relationship, I shouldn't show so much of impatience. So I say, be patient. So I sit down my son, a young son of 15 years old. I'm telling you the story to show you what impatience really is. And I teach him, I give him gyan for 20 minutes. And, you know, I give him gyan and talk to him about Mahatma Gandhi and what Gandhiji had to say about patience. We live in India, we are Indians, but my son of 15 years, at 15 years age, does not emote with Mahatma Gandhi because, I don't know why. The only Gandhi he emotes with at this point of time is Rahul Gandhi. And even Rahul Gandhi is only about 6 years younger than his father. And therefore that makes him very close to his father's age, and therefore he disconnects with anybody in the older generation. That's how our kids behave. Now, I sat him down again, I told him the stories of Swami Vivekananda, what Swami Vivekananda ji had to say about patience. We just celebrated his 150th birth anniversary a couple of days ago. And after all that, he doesn't understand Swami Vivekananda. And at the end of 20 minutes of Gyan, my son looks at me and says, Appa, tell me one thing. When you can be impatient, why be patient? When you can be impatient, why be patient? That's this generation. And for this impatient generation is my theory, which I talk about, which is the iGen and the love-hate pendulum. I call this iGen, you know, it is the impatient generation. And I have a theory called the love-hate pendulum, which is the second one I want to talk to you about, which simply is, you know, the theory is reasonably oblique. I published a paper on it. Those who are interested can pick it up. But as of now, I'm going to tell it to you very lightly. The love-hate pendulum is typically a theory which says that all of us gravitate from love to hate. All of us gravitate from love to hate. What this means is, whoever we love today, we will hate someday or the other. Now that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Huh? Don't peek into your marriages as yet. Okay. But the point is, whoever we hate today, we are likely to love tomorrow. Let me ask in the audience a simple question. How many of you love someone today who you used to hate in the past? Put up your hands. Wow, nice. And how many of you hate someone today who used to love in the past? There. I've got 2 hands going up together even. Okay, this simply means that life is pendulous in its relationship spectrum. I based this on a study of 16,360 consumers across 3 different geographies. And essentially, it's very useful to our personal lives as well. What do I mean? I simply mean to say that, you know, all of us start with love in the beginning. Let's take your marriages, since I started about your marriages. All of us start, this is a pendulum. A pendulum is let loose and it moves this way, which simply means that in a state, with the state of kinetic energy, it moves this way and then it goes up there and then it comes back here again. Is that okay? It keeps going up and down and then finally it rests at a point when it can swing no further. Now, I'm saying that in all of your personal relationships, let's start with your personal relationships, you start with 100 love. Imagine the person you got married. You got married to that person hopefully because you loved her 100 or him. 100, okay? So, if you loved him or 100 and started, guess what? 2 months down the line, that love doesn't stay 100. It's become 99.23 or if you want more decibels, I can give you that. For very small reasons. And these small reasons are not very small reasons. You know, you tend to say that I used to wake up, you know, all of us in my family wake up from the right side, get up from the right side of the bed. This woman gets up from the left side of the bed. Very small things are enough to beat the choice that we have made in a particular product, a service, or a relationship. So you start at 100. The sad, sad thing is this 100 never goes to 101 because it cannot fight, you know, the state of gravity pull that we really talk about. So all relationships start at 100, and guess what? After 7 years after being married, you are at 50 love. Okay? Don't get worried, guys, because at the end of 13 years, you're going to be at 100 hate or 0 love. Let's call it that way. But you know what really happens is in brands, it's similar. You start loving brands, but then you even out on brands, and then eventually you start hating brands. So typically speaking, don't get too worried with that, because what I keep saying is when what goes one way will swing back soon. So let's go back to your marriages. Day 1 of marriage, 100. 2 months later, 99.23% love. 5 years later, 50 love. 18 years later, back to hate. But don't get out of that marriage at that point of time, because what goes this way is going to come back. And guess what? 22 years later, you're madly, madly back in love with your wife, and you have 80 love. Okay? So the same thing operates in the realm of branding, because what goes on one end of the swing comes back to the other end of the swing. And I have done this exercise with about 36 different brands across categories, across terrains. The only market where I've not experimented with this is India. Okay? But the point is, wherever I've experimented with it's worked beautifully. We work with brands where we have created an accelerated hate mechanism for the brand. What do I mean by that? Let's say that an international brand where the hate is, you know, consumers have just 20 love for it left. So what I do is I accelerate the hate faster, so that let them hate the brand 100 faster, because after they hate the brand, there's just one quick swing way back to the good old days of being what you are. Love and hate, two sides, and at the end of the day, it's a pendulous movement. What you tend to think that you love today, you're going to hate in the future. I would like to summarize and say that, you know, if you really look at whatever we do in our markets today, I think we are very, very active. We are very, very active in promoting. You know, we are very impatient at times. This impatient generation, what it really does is somebody gets married, and within a year and a half, they say, I love this person only 80 now. No, that's not enough. I want to love this person 100, otherwise I don't want to be in the relationship. So very simply speaking, if you take this theory of mine and implement it into your personal lives as well, I think you're going to be more patient, and I think you're going to have longer, happier married lives, if nothing else. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. That's 18 minutes, and it's been a pleasure being here with you. Take care.